Perhaps the most important advice I ever give to SMEs and VCSEs, particularly in my procurement role, is to consider whether you should bid or not to bid. And I'm often asked the question, well, how can you decide that? So this is probably more for bedtime reading, but it just goes through some of the considerations that you should make in terms of, fundamentally, does it fit your business strategy? Is it commercially viable? And can you really make it work? Can you deliver the contract as stated, or can you adapt the contract and maybe expand your organization or collaborate or set up a consortia that I know was mentioned this morning by Claire Dove? And how well do you know the client? And if you don't know the client well, or the place well, or the project well, can you find out more? And obviously, because of the transparency, the agenda, and the increasing amount of engagement, there's opportunities to explore that to see whether this is the right project for you. Also, we need to consider, are you really positioned to win? You may in fact be the incumbent, which in theory should not give you an advantage, but it does give you past knowledge of the project and the organization that you're working with. And if you're not, how you can overcome that. And then fundamentally, the big question is, can you actually deliver the bid, and have you got the corporate resources to do it? So there's a lot of things to think about there, but I think given particularly VCSEs and the shortage of resources and how busy the organization generally is, it's important to think hard about this in terms of whether you decide to bid for a contract or not. This is the bidding process. And again, I'm going to acknowledge a friend of ours, Alison Collier. She is the leader of an organization called 2Team. She is referred to as the bid wizard. So this is her slide. Feel free to get in touch with Alison if anybody on the call needs any advice on bidding. And Alison actually does bidding for organizations as well, if that's needed. But this really shows you the 6 stages in terms of quality, develop, produce, finalize, submit, and learn. But there's some important points here in terms of, I always say, read the documents and read them again, because it really is important to gain an understanding of the project and decide whether to bid or not, as we said in the previous slide. Then you start to develop your strategy, gathering information, creating various templates, your storyboard for the project, and starting to consider the planning for answering the various questions in line with the award criteria. You then go to the most, I guess, the important phase of produce, where you writing, you're designing and reviewing and refining. And it really is important to spend time on that aspect to make sure that you've got a good quality submission ready for your final checks and for your sign off. And then obviously submit. And I think Beth's going to touch upon this. I've had many experiences in the past where suppliers have left it to the last day, to the last hour, and even the last minute, and you never know, things can go wrong. And because of the transparency of procurement these days, it really is important to submit your bid on time. So make sure that you plan early and communicate your bid to the contracting authority within the time frame. And the final stage, really, I guess, is whether you win or whether you don't win, is to reflect and to learn and to feedback that into your, into future bids. And again, what is helpful, strong organizations give good feedback to suppliers in terms of the winning bidder and also how your own bid performed, and then you can make the necessary changes.